Good morning. Welcome to Time in His Word. The last few days on Facebook, I've been seeing this post that says something to the effect of God's not punishing you. He's just disciplining you to, I think it goes on to say to help you in your walk or something. But anyway, the main thing was that God doesn't punish us. He disciplines us. I think there's a huge difference between punishment and discipline, not just the mere choice of words. To me, punishment means more brutal, more forceful, kind of like a I'll show you type of deal, where to me discipline means that someone sits down and they talk to you and they say, hey, you're doing this wrong and here's why you're doing this wrong, and they lay out the reasons why, and then they say, if we do this, this, and this, that'll help you get back on course. That's all you need to do. And I think that's what that message is trying to get across, that I've seen for the last few days, is that whoever it was, there's always a message, and it's directed to somebody. It might not be you, but somebody needs to see that message. Be it the message that the preacher brings on Sunday morning, or Wednesday evening, or in a small group setting. There's always a message that's kind of directed to somebody in that group. There are words that they need to hear for whatever they're going through. And it might not be you, and you might be sitting there thinking, man, this is the worst message I've ever heard in my life. Well, it's not that it's a bad message. It's a message that's not directed at you. It's not. There's words there that can help you here and there in your walk, but the message is focused on somebody who needs to hear it. And so there's been many a times I've said in a church Sunday morning, and the message wasn't really all that good. The preacher seemed to be off, but I always think about that message was directed to somebody. God directed that message for somebody to hear, and those were words they needed to hear. So, not to be disrespectful to the preacher, but I listened, I took notes, and later on, I was able to use those notes that I took in something else that I was reading or writing or whatever. So there's always something there that can be used, even if you don't feel like it's directed towards you. And I think that's, like I said, I think that's the difference between discipline and punishment. God's going to show us where we've gotten off course, where we're wrong or whatever, in a loving way to help us get back on course. Whereas, like I said, punishment is just more harsh, just brutal. They're not, who's ever doing the punishment's not willing to sit down and say, hey, you did this wrong, and that's why we're having to, why we're correcting this. No, punishment to me is just being brutal, so that's the way I look at it. But I do have a scripture that I think fits with what I'm saying this morning. It's in Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, verse 23, and it says this: I know, O Lord, that a man's way is not in himself, nor is it in a man who walks to direct his steps. Correct me, O Lord, but with justice, not with your anger, or you will bring me to nothing. I like that verse because the writer is saying we kind of get off on our own way, and it's not, it's our way. It's not his way, it's our way. And that we've got to be corrected, but he's saying do it in a loving way. Don't crush me. Don't just be brutal and take away my spirit, but be gentle, loving and gentle, and guide me back on the course I need. If you're struggling with something today, take a look at this passage and really think about it. The writer is saying that, God, just discipline me, show me where I did wrong, but don't crush me.